As you know, libraries, documentation centers, referral centers, information clearinghouses, they all serve to impart the information to the user community. These components, they form a system, a network, or a consortia. They serve the information to the user community through various components. They collect the information, organize the information, and disseminate the information. They cannot generate or create the information. To know more details about the information systems and networks and programs, our experts will present you the broad picture of these systems. First, let us differentiate what are the terms information system, network, and the program. Professor Haravu, what is the difference between an information system, a network, and a program?
It's very important to distinguish between these three terms, systems, networks, and programs, and I'll briefly present what the main features of these are. A system is anything which comprises several interacting, interrelated components, parts, or subsystems which are configured in such a manner as to deliver some goods and services or to achieve some specific defined purpose or defined goal. There could be different types of systems. For instance, there are some which are technical in nature, some are social systems. Of course, today we are talking of information systems. And I think in the 21st century, information systems are going to become much more important than they are today, because as many social scientists have said, the 21st century is going to be a knowledge-enabled, knowledge-driven society. Therefore, information systems are going to be the very important elements of that modern 21st century society. The concept of networks is slightly different. A network is any interconnected set of individuals or institutions, they could be spread across geographic boundaries, which the primary purpose of which is to exchange information, share resources, share information, share experience. That's really the purpose of a network. Now, we have different types of networks. For instance, we have research networks. We have networks of banks. Of course, there are information networks. Now, the primary purpose of information networks is really to see that information is shared across time and space boundaries, number one. Number two, information is rapidly available to people who need information. For instance, a doctor may be sitting at an operating table, and at that particular moment, he may need a piece of information. He should be able to access that information instantly, rapidly. This is one example of how information networks can help. Similarly, you have other objectives, like for instance, in a library network, you allow different libraries situated wherever they may be in different parts of the country, for instance, so that they can share the knowledge of what is available in each library, share the materials between each other. These are some of the objectives of a network. What is meant by a program? A program is nothing but a broad topic or mission which is adopted by a national or international agencies. For instance, we have programs like Health for All by 2000. That's a program. We have eradication of illiteracy. That's a program. Many international organizations organize themselves into major divisions or departments. And within a division or department, they have programs. For instance, the UNESCO, which is concerned with scientific, cultural matters, has many internationally accepted programs. For instance, in the information field, like they have a program to see that information processing standards are adopted uniformly across the world. Once this is adopted, then there is easy transfer of information from one center or one system to another system. If all of us can talk the same kind of standards, then to that extent, we are better networked. We are able to exchange information much more effectively. So that's a program. So like that, there could be many programs both at national levels and international levels. In this particular session today, we will be talking of programs as well as networks as well as systems, both nationally, regionally, as well as internationally.
Thank you, Dr. Haravu. Dr. Murthy, we have the United Nations and its specialized agencies have set up several information systems and networks. Can you throw some light on them for our students?
Thank you, Professor Rao. I can recall a landmarking thing after the Second World War. The United Nations has spread its umbrella to a greater extent. As Professor Haravu Saab said, UNESCO has taken a lead and many more offshoots have taken birth out of this. And one of the milestones again, and this happens to be that of UNICIST, PGI. This is World Science Information System, which has geared up to follow the charter of UNESCO and also for the humanity in any discipline to supply the information free from administrative routines and also legal barriers, free flow of information. So this was the basic concept with which this UNICIST has started way back in 1967, and then slowly it started supplying the information from all the routine functional matters, including microfilming and document supplies and also interlibrary loans, and they have devised a lot of standards, procedures, etc. In 1976, dramatically, a lot of things started improving, and general information programs have got amalgamated with this, and they have changed the charter to a larger extent with 5 focused principles. The first one happens to be development of tools. Always they got to have some tools which should be followed uniformly all across. As Professor said very rightly, so for compatibility point of view, for exchange of information, for flow of information in a smooth manner, these tools were very essential. Standards were attempted for bibliographic point of view and also textual information, citations, etc., and also microfilming, documentation. Like that, you can keep on enumerating indexing methods, cross-references, thesauri, etc., etc. The second one was on development of databases. Several databases were developed for creation of databases in different areas, and how to design and develop domains, how to interlink, how to create files. So all those rudiments were spelled out and some guidelines were given. The third one happens to be development of softwares, easily accessible, easily understandable, technically, and also users' point of view. The landmarking thing again happens to be that of CDS, ISIS, which we are seeing different versions. This is how it has had its roots from this program. Then they also had another thing called as human resource development. And the last one happens to be that of exchange of scholars, consultants, because this was very essential from developing countries to the third world and also underdeveloped countries to bring them up to a particular level. So UNICIST has greatly contributed in this point of view. And in addition to that, we also have other systems like UNIDOS, which was basically meant for helping the entrepreneur to start with looking for information, either a technical information or social information or economic information or raw product information or infrastructural information or anything of that kind. He can find all these things. So this was geared up to provide them. In those days, in the beginning, they made an attempt in the manual form of bringing out lot of alerts, SDI services, and also publications, reports, and things of this kind, energy reports, etc. Then that scenario also has slowly started changing when the entire thing of INIS and EGRIS databases, one of the most pioneering attempts that ever humankind has made, they have started appearing in the scenario of network forms. And they have taken a long way of the entire thing. So slowly people have turned towards these things.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Murthy. Professor Haravu, we have several information systems at the international level in science, mainly in the field of science and technology, like we have INIS, EGRIS, CARIS, Infotera, etc. So these activities and services of these information systems are very interesting to us. Can you elaborate some of the services and the activities of these systems?
Sure. One of the pioneering experiments in information networking was that of the International Nuclear Information System, or INIS. The INIS system was established by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is one of the UN bodies, way back in the 1969. And the innovativeness of INIS was in the fact that it encouraged decentralized input, centralized processing within at Vienna, and decentralized, centralized dissemination and utilization of the products of this particular system. Now, this was an experiment conducted because they felt at that time that the peaceful uses of nuclear energy is such a vital piece of information that it's impossible for any one country to have access to everything. So what they decided was that each country would have its own national focal point. For instance, in India, the national focal point is the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Each focal point would contribute to the center in Vienna information produced within that country on nuclear energy and peaceful uses of nuclear energy. The center in Vienna would then consolidate and collate all this information, produce a huge database, and this database was then used as the basis for different kinds of information services. Now, INIS, the services of INIS have been given to hundreds of nuclear physicists and other nuclear scientists, biomedical people, and so on, in several countries, more than 50, 60 countries where nuclear research is still going on. This is a very, very valuable piece of experiment that was done in the 1960s. Because of the success of INIS as a decentralized input, centralized processing kind of network, another UN body, namely the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, decided to copy or adapt the same kind of experiment towards another network called AGRIS, AGRIS. AGRIS stands for International Information System for Agricultural Sciences and Technology. Now, AGRIS again follows the same principle. You have national focal points in different centers, different countries, about 126 countries. And each of these countries contributes to the AGRIS their information, their literature, their documents, so that at AGRIS, this is all compiled into a huge database, and this database is made available to everyone, including very small countries. This way, even a small country which has very little resources for information management has access to the world information on agriculture. This is something that is a very important aspect of international information systems management in the UN bodies. However, I'll be doing injustice if I do not mention that although AGRIS and INIS were started more than 25, 30 years ago, things have changed. Things have changed largely because of internet. Today, more and more networks of the kind that I'm speaking of are internet-based, and the world, in fact, is becoming totally information world, at least, is becoming internet-centric.
Dr. Murthy, we have information systems at the regional level also. That means the countries of geographical proximity, they are forming a sort of associations to solve the problems of their mutual interest. And they are also coordinating the information activities and forming some sort of regional networks. We have the regional networks for the SARCnet, Devinsa, Happiness, and Astinfo. So some sort of information you may be having about these regional networks. Could you elaborate them?
Yeah, thank you. Well, that is very right, Professor Rao. This one classic example in this group appears to be that of SARC. This South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation is a pioneering effort for developing nations of this part of the world, especially under the subcontinent. They have come together, all the SARC countries, and they have tried to identify what are the common resources they have, how the information flow can go among the barriers, whatever we have, we can channelize them and move across in any direction it is, and there is a common lifestyle, and there are certain things which are a little common when compared to the other areas. So this was the fundamental point on which this was discussed in 1985. It took its deep roots from Dhaka, and then all the consortium has started moving towards this, and the mission charter happens to be document delivery, photocopying facilities, microfilming, and eventually to go by sector-wise, industry and commerce, agriculture, education, training, and like this they have distributed among themselves. And the existing infrastructure facilities which were created long back by UNESCO, like PANSDoc, BANDoc, INSIDoc, these documentation centers located in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka and other places have been used as the national focal points to take the responsibility of collection, collation, and dissemination of information. For instance, INSIDoc was assigned the responsibility of training the people of all this region, and BANSDOC has taken the responsibility in coordination with the ERIC, Agriculture Research Information Center located in Dhaka, to provide information on that. And in the same way, Royal Nepal Institute at Kathmandu has taken the responsibility for science and technology. And Colombo also has taken, and Pakistan also has taken, including Maldives and Bhutan. So like that, this has started working wonderfully well. Now they have also embarked upon calling it as a network. Not only the audio-visual information, printed information, they have also started looking into transporting of information of this generated from different SAARC countries. So these are some of the pioneering things as well as SAARC is concerned. In addition to this, another pioneering thing also appears on the screen, on the mapping is DEVINSA, Developmental Information System for Social Sciences, which started again, but a consortium of little more than the existing SAARC countries. They stretched it a little bit. Marg Institute near Colombo in Sri Lanka has been identified as a nodal agency for this. That will take the total responsibility of generating funds and also collection of information, design and development of the database, providing of the know-how and creating of infrastructure facilities to all the member countries. In India, Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi has been assigned the responsibility to collect this information. The main charter happens to be that of non-print information and printed information, and also the ephemeral type of information would get poured into this kind of a thing. If you permit me, there is a little further to go beyond the subcontinent is Epines is another one. Asia Pacific in information in social sciences. Headquarters is located in Bangkok. It has got a larger membership of about 17 countries. They also do more or less the same. In addition to that, they coordinate with the social science documentation centers located in the member countries, provide grants, give projects, and collect that data, and also concentrate on duplication of research and all the thesis work that is done. They also have a consortium of databases maintained in this. So this is how the pioneering efforts are made to coordinate among the countries so that duplication is avoided and much faster of information flow is taking place among the scientists, scholars, and users, etc.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy. At the national level, the United States seems to be the pioneer in setting up the information systems and networks. For example, we have OCLC. OCLC has really spread its information services across the globe to several countries. Could you give some of the services offered by the OCLC?
Sure. Dr. Rao, as you rightly pointed out, I think understandably the United States of America is a world leader so far as information technology is concerned and application of information technology to various spheres of human activity. One of the obvious areas where they have made tremendous progress is in the area of information systems, library networks, and so on. And one of the most interesting and pioneering, again, experiments by a private sector agency in the United States was the OCLC system. The OCLC stands for Online Computer Library Center. This OCLC started off way back in the 1960s as a utility. Actually, OCLC is a utility. Just like we have electricity utility or telephone utility or water supply utilities, OCLC really is a library utility because it provides various kinds of services to the library community. OCLC started off by developing a sizable database, bibliographic database of information generated by the Library of Congress in the United States, which is the world's largest library. They developed a bibliographic database of cataloging materials, and then they offered these cataloging resources to libraries within the United States on a subscription kind of basis. Slowly, this became so popular that many consortia of libraries, small networks of libraries within the continental United States, started getting OCLC services through their own networks. Thereby, OCLC became a sort of utility which was used across the Western world. To start with, it was the US, but slowly it also spread to Europe. Many libraries in Europe have become members of the OCLC, and also now in Asia, parts of Asia and Japan, and so on. Another very important thing about OCLC is that it has a union catalog, which is called the World Cat, that particular catalog is the world's largest catalog. It has 36 million records in more than, I think, about 250 languages, right from Korean to Japanese to Sanskrit, to Telugu, whatever language you can think of. It's really a gigantic database. This database is accessible to members of OCLC. They use this data as cataloging resources. Another very important service of OCLC is its interlibrary loan service. There are something like about 5,500 libraries worldwide which participate in the interlibrary loan service of OCLC. In other words, a library which is a member of this network can log in to that particular interlibrary loan service, locate a particular book or an article or a thesis on that particular database, and then request the library which has it to send this on interlibrary loan. So you can see how, even though libraries may be situated across different continents, they are able to share information simply because of this gigantic database, simply because of the fact that they are connected through computer communications networks. Another product of OCLC, which I think is a fantastic product, is a software called First Search, which allows you to search this entire catalog in a most user-friendly manner. And even a non-librarian can use this First Search to search for information, and it's one of the most popular search products available today in the information world. Like OCLC, the United States has some more very interesting information system products, and one of them is the ERIC, or the Educational Resources and Information Center, which again is a slightly different kind of network. ERIC consists of about 16 clearinghouses on different aspects of education, like for instance, adult literacy, educational technology, women's education, education of the disadvantaged, things like that. And each of these clearinghouses collects specific information in that very specific domain of education. They contribute this, and then a huge database is built up at the ERIC Center in Washington. And that particular database is now available on CD-ROM, it's available on internet, it's available on online hosts like Dialog and so on.
Dr. Murthy, you are referring to the, I think, National Information Systems at the national level by Professor Haravu, and we have also information systems in Russia and UK and Japan.
Yes.
Could you throw some light on this?
Briefly, I think we can take some examples which have been of classic nature. In United Kingdom, there is also revolutionary changes that have taken place, and one of the most important thing happens to be British Library Automated Information System in Education. It is one of the very well-designed information system gearing up to the polytechnics, universities, colleges, and educational institutions. All their catalogued information, except bibliographic citations, etc., have been coupled. And they created about 22 databases, and they also have about 17 million records already available in that database. This is one of the comprehensiveness of that database. And later, in the same scenario of the British, the Genet, another concept has come. This is wonderfully enveloped all the educational networks or information systems in England, and this has started way back in 1985, and by 93 it has become a super Genet by taking over all the systems that are available in that. Now they provide not only the traditional method of information within the British countries, Britain, and also United Kingdom as well, the other islands. They extend the information on interlibrary loan, document delivery, the same routine functions, and now they have also embarked upon providing information through CD-ROMs, electronic disseminations, downloading of journals, uploading of information from that part, and also getting the OCLC information relevant to them downloaded. These kind of parameters have been incorporated in. That is why it is called Super Genet, one of the gigantic networks in the academics of higher learning in the British scenario. In the same way, if you move into the Soviet Union of earlier one, in 1918, they had besides Vinity and other systems. INEON was another thing which was specializing towards social science information systems, designed and developed by Academy of Sciences of Russia. Those days it was Soviet Union, but after 91 it has taken over by the Russian. The parameters and also thrust has slowly started moving into the area of computerization, electronic media of dissemination, and instantaneous updating of information. They used to have weeklies. Now they made it instantaneously every day, and they also extended the scope of the subjects like philosophy, archaeology, sociology, economics, demography. These are the areas newly added into it, which were basically in the Russian language. Now they also started accepting other European languages and looking a little bit towards other areas of Orient as well. And this is the comprehensiveness of it. And one of the classic thing, the database they have is literary criticism. It's wonderfully collected from all parts of the world, and they do the routine things of abstracting, indexing, and microfilming a great deal. And India has got, through cultural exchange programs, quite a large number of cultural exchange program parameters applied to INEON and also some other institutions like NASDAQ, INSIDOC, Indira Gandhi Center for Arts, etc. This is how the Russian scenario has been blooming up. And then if you move a little bit to the Japanese side, we also have Japan Information Center for Science and Technology. This is another wonderful thing on this part of the hemisphere, which focuses on collection, collation of information, not only in science and technology, though it sounds like, but they have also moved to other areas. And this pioneering thing over here is they do everything in Japanese language, and they also translate and transliterate into English or any language of need to them. So this is another wonderful mechanism. They have translation facilities, abstracting facilities, indexing facilities, uploading of information. Even they have attempted multimedia environment of voice information, pictorial information. So that kind of ethnographic, museum-oriented information also they have engulfed into this kind of a scenario.
Coming now to the national programs within our own country, I think we should be aware that there are quite a few initiatives in our country to improve access to scientific and technical information. One of the first initiatives, which started off around about the 1970s, is the so-called National Information System for Science and Technology, or NISSAT. NISSAT is an organ of the Department of Science and Technology, New Delhi. And NISSAT was, as I said, established in 1970, primarily as a program. It's not a service or a system. It's a program which has several themes. For instance, one of the important themes of the NISSAT program is to build centers of excellence in various fields of information. So what they did was, they established what is known as sectoral information centers. For instance, they established a very important sectoral information center for leather, for drugs and pharmaceuticals, for oceanography in the National Institute of Oceanography in Goa, and of course for aeronautics in the National Aeronautical Laboratory in Bangalore. So this is one program. Another important program of NISSAT was training and human resource development for improving information management skills within the country.